Welcome, everyone, to the MMA Happy Hour. I am Kyle Anthony, your host. Today, we are talking UFC Vegas 92. We've got Lerone Murphy versus Edson Barboza. We're going to be breaking down 4 plays on the card. Now, listen, we're coming off another profitable evening last weekend, and we picked up 9 units. A lot of people talk about these low-level cards, and they're not good and all these things. Again, I say this on a lot of shows here. Doesn't matter about level of card. Doesn't matter about if you know the headliners or whatever the hell else. It's about looking to put our money in strong positions. We did it again, picked up over 9 units. We're now at about 45 units of profit on the year, have cashed 12 of the last 14 UFC cards. So we're going to keep it rolling. I'm not going to gloat too much, but we're going to keep it going overall. If you want to become a client, link down in the description. Got a couple plays up right now, so check that out, as well as if you want to get on the fantasy side of things. All things for our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy Sports. They're going to give you $100. Link down in the description. And we're going to get this rolling, kind of try to get through some of those early things a little bit quicker this time. But also, please, everybody, we've been dominating. We've been crushing it. Leave a like, leave a comment, you know what I mean? Subscribe, get interactive in the comments. Always like chatting with people, whether you agree or disagree with me. I always appreciate it because we're all on the same side trying to beat the bookies. That's really the end of this. We're trying to give our advice here on the channel, and then hopefully we're going to go out there and make you guys some money. And we have definitely been doing that this year. So with that being said, we are going to dive into the main event of the evening between Lerone Murphy and Edson Barboza. This is definitely an intriguing main event here on Saturday night. You've got, Lerone Murphy, undefeated prospect, has looked good, definitely mixing things up, starting to add some wrestling, definitely has some nice striking. On the other side, we all know Edson Barboza, guy is elite level when it comes to kickboxing, and he's just a UFC veteran who is put on some spectacular fights over the years. Now, one of the things when you're looking at this fight here for Lerone Murphy is his paths to victory. What could he do to really kind of find opportunities to really get this dub here? And I think what he has to do, or really both of them, I think we're going to see this going to be a striking match. I think it's predominantly going to be a striking match, but I do think we're going to see some wrestling. I do think both of these guys have an opportunity to get takedowns, to get opportunity to control some of the action. Now, we have seen Murphy over his last 2 fights, 4 takedowns. He has looked good in certain spots, getting these takedowns. Against Josh Kulabau, he was 3 for 4, had 8 minutes of control time. And that really shows, again, I think a little bit more with kind of his evolving, getting better, adding new tools to his arsenal, not just standing and striking. And that could be an opportunity for him against somebody like Edson, who's going to be explosive, who's going to be looking to kind of utilize that kickboxing. Can that be a path for him in this spot? Now, Edson for sure is not a guy that's easy to take down. 75% takedown defense rate, high. And I think a lot of that has to do with a little bit more. And just, his footwork is one thing, but cutting distance inside some of this high-level kicking arsenal that he does have. Now, most of the time, going back, rewatching some of the tape, most of the time, the guys that really find a lot of success for Edson are the pure wrestlers, are the guys that are going to sell out, who are going to dive at legs, who are going to take you down. Guys like Bryce Mitchell, guys that just are really looking for that path, have those high-level credentials to wrestle, get you down. And I don't put Murphy in that spot. I think he's a very talented guy overall. But when you're looking at kind of a path here, I don't think that that's a path that Murphy's really going to find a lot of success with at all. And, Murphy on their side here, 46% takedown success rate. Not the greatest, but again, if I don't see him consistently diving at legs, shooting at legs. And I also do think, now I don't know if this is going to be a hot take or not, but I also do think that Barboza can offensively wrestle here. I do think that's going to be a spot for him to kind of look to move forward. He's going to utilize some of the kickboxing, but we have seen him add some of this to his last few fights. And even against Sadiq Youssef, he was 3 for 4 on takedowns. Barboza was 3 for 4 takedowns on Youssef, found some success there. Of course, he had to get out of, death's door when Sadiq was pounding his head in, but then he was able to kind of, again, he's older guy, 38, 39 years old, all these things, but he did show he can go 5 rounds. He went 5 rounds. He got beaten to death in the first round, and then was able to at least keep going, pushing forward, and finding a way to get that victory. Also on the other side here, you've got Murphy, who over his last 3 fights have been taken down 10 times. So yes, there could be guys that are better wrestlers taking him down, but again, it shows that there could be a path, an opportunity for Barboza to control some of the action. Now, if you're looking at striking wise here, I got to give this, all striking wise to Barboza here. Yes, I think that Murphy does have striking. Absolutely. I think he's pretty crisp. But Barboza, if this plays out on the feet, and this is going to be a range kickboxing fight, this is the wheelhouse of Barboza, in my opinion here. I think it's just going to work out well for him. I think he's, incredibly technical, more technical than Murphy. His hand speed's going to be quicker. I think he mixes up the targets a little bit better, on the opponent. He's going to, chop at the legs, fire those body kicks, work the head, and mixing that up is going to really be difficult. Plus, if you add in some level changes, I think this could be an opportunity for Barboza to really capitalize. And then also the fact that, yes, the one thing that I do see with Murphy is he does have good distance management. And that's one thing that I think it has played well for him in certain spots, but it also could play against him, and if you're a guy that can be a little bit low volume, if you're, as in Murphy, a little bit low volume, or you're a guy that's kind of working at range and allowing the opponent to kind of dictate the pace, fire off more shots, you're the one backpedaling, that could lead to really losing rounds, or at least optically not looking that good against the judges. And I do think that that's where Barboza is a guy that can lead the dance. I think he's a guy that can lead the dance, push the pace, land the bigger shots, and find opportunity. Let me get a little something. This damn camera. But also you got to add in the competition level here. And that is also something that I think is not even close here. And you look at Barboza, not Barboza. You look at Murphy, he has had, he's undefeated fighter, has, that sexy undefeated record, looks great. But if you even look at kind of some of these fights here, yes, he's winning them, but he's very, very close on some of these fights here, where these should be guys he should absolutely run through. One of them, Gabriel Santos, where I thought he lost. Gabriel got a bunch of takedowns, got a lot of control time, and that I thought was enough for him to get the victory. They give it to Murphy. Even Makwan Amirkhani, we've talked about him a couple times in the show, where he, blows his load in the first round and does, jack shit in the second round. And that's pretty much what happened here. He was able to control the action, get takedowns, win that first round against Lerone. And then he ends up, getting, losing in the second round. And even the Douglas Silva D'Andrade fight, another fight here where I don't rate him very high. And then it was a very, very close fight. And he does edge out that victory. Murphy does go out there and get that victory. And to kind of drive this a little further here, and we all know who Barboza's faced. He's faced the who's who of the division overall. But when you're kind of looking even at when you're kind of looking even further, at what Barboza's done, he's fought again the who's who, the top level guys, title challengers, past champions, all of these things, and you look at even further with who Murphy has fought. Out of the last 5 fights that he's had, the victories that he's had, if you just take the last 2 opponents for each of his opponents and add up that record, his opponents are 1-9 in their last 2 fights. So these are guys that are not doing good, are falling off the cliff, have not looked that great. And yes, Murphy's getting the victory, but I do think this is a spot where Edson Barboza at plus money, I do like it. I think that's the spot here. Plus 125, you're going to give me that on Barboza in a fight that's probably going to be a striking match. I got to take Barboza here. So that is my first play, Edson Barboza to get the job done. Now, the next fight here we're going to talk about is Khaos Williams minus 125 against Carlston Harris. Let's get a little bit of energy here. All right. So we've got Khaos Williams here. Khaos Williams, explosive guy. Guy's going to move forward. He can be aggressive. And on the other side here, you've got Harris, who's, decent everywhere, but he's really looking to kind of utilize that grappling, utilize his jiu-jitsu. And that really, to me, when breaking down this fight, is really his only path here. I only think that the best way for him to find any success is going to look to get takedowns, is going to look to kind of, capitalize on the ground, whether he's going to be, submission hunting, banking rounds, whatever it may be. I do think that's really where most of his win equity is going to be in this fight. Now, even look recently against Jeremiah Wells. Jeremiah Wells, strong, explosive guy, somewhat similar to Khaos Williams. And this was a spot where Wells was winning the fight. He was controlling the action. He was, getting, opportunities to positionally win, landing more shots, all of these things. And then Harris, Wells gets a little sloppy in a scramble. Harris locks something in and gets that submission in that third round. Now, that does show how opportunistic Harris is, but it also shows there can be some vulnerability there as well. And then you even look further, prior to that, he fought Jared Gooden. I don't rate Jared Gooden that high, but also he was able to get takedowns, got 5 takedowns, banked some rounds, and ended up winning the fight. So again, that really is his path to victory. That's really where he's going to look to find the most success and be able to go out there and win. Also, I think an issue here for Harris is going to be the physicality. I think that is an issue that he also had with Wells, that physicality, that strength advantage. I do believe that will go to Khaos Williams, and I think that makes level changing in the clinch a little bit more tougher for Harris to kind of control the action, get those takedowns. And it's really, I think, going to be a mix of that physicality. I think the movement of Williams is also going to be a little bit difficult. And then you add in just that takedown defense. It's at 80% right now for Khaos Williams. Now, I think it is a little overblown because he has not faced guys that are going to be relentlessly shooting. And, he's faced a lot of strikers. So that could be a little bit higher, but I do like what I've seen from him on tape. You know what I mean? He's showing to have good hips, showing to have, create space, have opportunities to kind of get back to his feet or at least defend and then find opportunities to scramble. So he has done a lot of great things that I think he can do in this fight also on Saturday night. But if you look at this here, if this fight plays out on the feet, this is another spot where if it plays out on the feet, I think there's a lot of issues here for Harris. And, I think that Khaos Williams is going to be the overall better striker. I think he's going to have the overall, more explosive, the better, more athlete, more athletic, more power. All these things I think go well to him. I also do like that Khaos, he does chop at the legs. I think that's another spot where Harris can look to struggle. I don't think that he, on the feet, he can look like a fish out of water at times. And then you got to add in the fact that his combinations are atrocious. I mean, his combinations are fucking sloppy. They're not good. I think that also is another spot where he can be timid at certain spots where, Harris is not pushing that pace, not throwing. And if he can't get the takedowns, he's going to be on the feet. And I think Williams will have the volume advantage too. There's the better striking, the more power, the volume advantage will be there as well. And you're looking at it right now, Khaos is averaging nearly 6 strikes landed per minute, while half is what Carlston Harris averages, about a little under 3 takedowns, 3 strikes landed per minute. So this is a spot where the volume is going to be on Khaos's side. I think the strength, the physicality, the striking is also going to be on his side. So a lot of things really sit well for him overall. And I think the blanket statement here is I'm just not impressed with Carlston Harris at all. And again, if he had lost against Wells, which he was kind of on his way to do, this line would be probably pretty wide. So we are seeing that it's, tightened a little bit here. So I do like Khaos Williams here. I think he gets the job done. I think he's got the ability. So give me Khaos Williams at -125. Now, the other two we will go over here. And now, the other two we will go over here is going to be Angela Hill -140 against Luana Pinheiro. Now, in this fight here, you first look at Hill's record. You're like, what the hell? 16-13, not the greatest. While Pinheiro's got that, the sexier record, whatever it is, 11-2. But Hill has faced the top top of the top, over her entire career. I know that she's kind of aging out at this point, but over her entire career, she has really fought top level females. She's kind of been that gatekeeper for the division, having opportunities to kind of fight some top level females. And then also, she's done pretty well against these kind of up and comers, these ones that, hey, this is kind of the stepping stone. And then you realize that Hill does have ability and she is not fully aged out at this point here. And on the feet, I think one of the biggest things that, when you look at what Hill does great, what she can do in this fight is I think that really overall, her volume is going to be well above, I think, Pinheiro in this spot. I think her hand speed and that volume is really going to push this pace here and really be able to help her land some good shots. And the one thing that we do know about Hill is that she's a point fighter. She's not that dangerous. She doesn't have much power, but she can really push out that volume, push out the good combinations, land some shots, get back out of range. And that can work for her in this spot here because she's very risk averse. She's not going to take damage. She's not going to really put herself in a position to just sling hands. She doesn't look to do that. She knows she doesn't have that power. So that's really how she utilizes some of the strength, the footwork, and that distance management. While Pinheiro on the other side here, I don't like her striking that much. I don't really like it at all. I think she kind of wings punches. She can be aggressive, and that's something that can help her in this spot where if she can kind of keep Hill on that back foot, if she can kind of push that pace, get in her face, there can be opportunities for a level change, for a takedown, for opportunities to kind of at least dictate the pace a little bit. And if she can't, then I think then she's kind of stuck on the feet, and I think she gets out volumed here. Now, that is a little bit tough for her to, is Hill going to be able to kind of find that rhythm over at least 2 of the 3 rounds? Because she's got to stay safe. She's got to stay on her feet. She doesn't want to be taken down. I think if she can get taken down, I do think Pinheiro can possibly keep her there. So I do think she's on her bike for this entire fight, working at range. And I think that's really all my points here, but I just don't think that Hill's going to be taken down here. So in this spot here, I do like Angela Hill. I think the number actually isn't that bad, -140. But listen, out of her last 11 fights, all of them went the distance. Win or lose, all of them have went the distance. She's 5-6 over that span. So really her win probability is most likely going to be by decision here. Stats say it, the tape says it. So I do like Angela Hill, but I'm taking Angela Hill via points. It's -105. Get a little bit better of a number there on probably win or lose. She's going to be taking this fight to the scorecards here. So as another free play, we're going to take Angela Hill via points -105. And then the last one here we're going to talk about what was the other one here? Is Adrian Yanez versus Vincius Salvador. Now, this one here, I'll just kind of give out here, just kind of give you quick thoughts here before I say the play. But this is a spot. Where I do think that they're setting Yanez up here. I really think this is UFC saying, we like Adrian. We like this kid. He's a likable guy. We think we can maybe market him a little bit. He well-spoken. People definitely is a fan favorite. People do seem to like this kid, win or lose, or at least cheer for him. But, he's coming off 2 losses. Got his butt kicked against Rob Font, which was a fight I was at, and a fight that I bet Rob Font at a nice +150 number there. And then he also loses to Jonathan Martinez. Now, that's definitely not a bad look for him. It's definitely not a bad look losing to those guys. A bet Jonathan Martinez has definitely looked good. So I don't think that that's anything terrible when you're looking at it. But I do think that when you're also looking at it is that I don't really like anything that Salvador does. I don't think there's much that I like that he has here. Plus, I think the style fits in very well with what Adrian wants to do, which is stand and box. I think that's really where Salvador's is going to be looking here. Out of his 14 victories, 13 are by knockout. So I think this is going to be one of those opportunities where they're going to stand, they're going to throw, and that's kind of going to be how this fight plays out. But also the fact that I think that he's not very technical. You know, you got to add the fact that he's not very technical. I think he can be sloppy, but also the fact his defense is very lackadaisical on the feet. Just, I mean, he's the kind of guy that leaves his hands down and kind of a person that wants to invite the fight. You know, he's a guy that wants to counter, leave his hands down, invite you to throw those shots. He's going to look to work the angles and really time that counter. And I don't think that works out well against someone like Yanez, who I do rate his boxing. I do think it's pretty good. And I do think that he's got a little bit of power in there too. And once he kind of smells some blood, I think he can push that pace, land those big shots, and find the finish. So in this spot here, I do like Adrian Yanez, but I think Adrian Yanez via knockout is a nice spot here, getting off this big minus 380 number. And it's been a kind of all over the place here, but a big number here, a 4-1 favorite. You can get Yanez via knockout minus 115. I really like that spot here. I think it's a high probability of happening for him. I don't think he point fights here. And I think also that Salvador's going to allow a knockout to happen because he's going to look for that KO. He's looking for that big moment for him. And that's the kind of fighter that he is. So I do like Adrian Yanez via knockout minus 115. Now, there you have it for UFC Vegas 92. If you want to become a client, link down in the description for WagerTalk. Again, I've got some plays up right now. We've been just absolutely beating the shit out of the bookies this year. So get on board on that, as well as Fantasy Underdog Sports. Link down there as well, too. And listen, don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to subscribe. You know, get involved here. I appreciate everybody being a part of this. And last thing, if you want to get 30 days, I probably should have started the show with this, but if you want to get 30 days of plays free, plus a very limited edition Chimaev card, check out my Twitter at Kyle Anthony UFC. I'm doing a giveaway there, so get involved, check it out, and let's keep this money train going. Excited about it, and you know what to do. Let's cash.